Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I am so excited to do. It is going to be a new ranking makeup video, and in today's I'm going to be doing a highly requested one. I'm going to be ranking all of my Natasha Denona palettes. So I have 10 palettes from my girl Natasha Denona. I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my top favorite. So let's go ahead and get started. Friends, editing Samantha here, hiding in my bathroom to get away from my loud air conditioning. I realized as I was editing that I forgot a palette, and I don't know how I forgot this palette. I forgot to include the Mini Love palette. At one point in the video as I'm editing, I accidentally say Mini Love, and I didn't even catch it during the video that there's an actual Mini Love palette, and I just kept going, and now I'm realizing that A, I forgot the Mini Love palette, but also B, I can't find my Mini Love palette. I don't know where it is. So that probably has something to do with it also, but I'm very annoyed because I've been planning this video for such a long time and I never once had the Mini Love on my list. Not one time did I write down the Mini Love. So I forgot the Mini Love. I own it. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I just thought I would pop in to tell you that first in case anyone is questioning, why didn't you mention the Mini Love? I feel terrible. I just feel awful. All right, welcome. I'm really excited to do this one. So I have a whole ranking makeup playlist. I can link it down below. And when I did my last one, which was bronzers, I asked what you wanted to see next. A lot of people have requested Natasha Denona palettes. So that is what we are doing today. To jump into the Vegas OOTD, today I just have on, okay, let me explain my outfit. So I have on shorts. I wear these shorts all of the time. I have on this little crop shirt. This is from Lights Label, which is Kathleen Light's clothing brand. It's super comfortable. I wear it all the time. And then I have on this, like, I don't know what you call these from Zara. I used to remember what they were called, arm warmers or something like that. The Vegas weather is very confusing this week because one minute it's like 107 degrees and sunny and hot. The next minute there's no sun, it's pouring down rain, it's windy, and it's like really cool. It's like you don't know, like it's monsoon season here and things change very rapidly. And so this is apparently what you wear during that time because I've been very busy. I'm still packing my orders that came in for by Samantha March. If you didn't see, I did launch my own brand last week Sunday. I can link the video here. I have been packing and shipping orders all week. So I've been in and out of my house all day going to the post office and such, and it's like when I walked out right away this morning, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool and raining, neat. And then within an hour, it's 107 degrees and I'm like, what is going on? So it's very interesting weather this week. So that is why I'm wearing what I'm wearing. Okay, I do have 10 different palettes to go through with you. Nice even number there. Actually, 10 palettes, which is good. So starting off at number 10, this was one of my first palettes from Natasha Denona, and this is the Mini Sunset palette. One thing I'll say, the first palette that I ever bought from Natasha Denona was the Mini Lila palette, I believe. It was the 5-pan palette, and it was mostly purple shades. I actually returned that palette because it gave me, or I gave it away or something. I decluttered it. But I no longer have it in my collection. It actually irritated my eyes. And I was super bummed about it because I was very excited to try the Natasha formula. So to have a reaction, I was like, okay. There have been times where I've had issues with purple palettes irritating my eyes. I do have very sensitive eyes. And sometimes purple shadows just do that, which is such a bummer because I personally love purple shadows and I think they look great with green eyes, but I just have to be careful of the formula sometimes. So that was the first ever Natasha palette that I got. It didn't work out so well for me. And then I believe this was the next one that I got, and I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a shot. And then I didn't really love this one either. It's fine, and it's not really so much quality. Like, I think it's like fine quality. I don't know. I just don't feel like I reach for these tones all that much. And something about it, I just really never reached for it. That was like my biggest thing. It just sat there and sat there and sat there. But by the time I started to do declutters again, I had gotten more into Natasha Denona, and I was like, I feel like this might be something where I kind of want to have like a collection going on. So that's why I've always kept the Mini Sunset around, so I can do videos like this and such. But I don't know, I just really never reached for this one. And those were my first 2 Natasha palettes, and I was like, I don't get why everyone talks about them because, you know, I started hearing about Natasha Denona through YouTube and through her really big palettes and the $129 palettes and even more expensive ones, and I really wanted to try out the formula, but I just didn't want to spend that price tag. And so when I went with the smaller ones and I didn't love them, I'm like, well, why would I purchase the bigger ones? But that's not the end of the story. Not the end of the story. Let's keep going. At number 9, another mini palette. This one is the Mini Retro. I'm kind of surprised that I didn't love this one because I like all the shades. They just kind of speak to me. I was really excited when I saw it come out. I purchased it right away and I was just like, yeah, this is gonna be a great one for me. Once again, I just really don't reach into it. I feel like with some of these lighter tones, they just don't have enough oomph for me. Like I need something just a little bit more. The shimmers are pretty in here, but especially with having like really similar shades on the end, like they're a different finish. This one is more just kind of your smooth shimmery shade, where this one is a little bit more like topper-esque, but I feel like they're kind of similar. Once again, I didn't reach into it a lot. I definitely have other ones that are, you know, I like more, that are favorites of mine. So yeah, I was surprised and bummed about that one. Coming in at number 8, I think this is gonna be the only Natasha palette. No, there's 2. There's 2 of the 10 palettes that I did not purchase myself that were gifted to me from subscribers. When I got this gifted to me, I like nearly fell over in shock, and I was so surprised because once again, I really did talk about Natasha palettes a lot and that I really wanted to try them out and try the formula and all of that. And I remember this being sent to me around the time that my husband had lost his job and we were in the process of moving and there was just like a lot going on in life. So when I got this sent to me, I was incredibly grateful, and just that someone would think to do something like that. This palette is very special to me for that reason. And I remember as we were moving, I like guarded this palette with my life because we were having people come in to look at the house and I was just so paranoid. You know, I would obviously like take my dog and I would take my laptop, but I would take the freaking Natasha Denona Gold palette with me because I was like, well, what if someone's a makeup lover and they walk in my office and they're like, that's an expensive palette, girl, I'm not gonna take that. Like, I mean, you know, it was small town Iowa, I'm sure no one would have done that, but you never know. So I would always take the gold palette with me. So this is coming in at number 8 because out of all of my Natasha palettes, I don't reach for this one the most. I will say I do enjoy the quality of it. I think it's some of the tones in here because I honestly don't wear golds all that much. I'm recently starting to get more into it. I think it's because I'm wearing like gold jewelry a lot too. I'm starting to get a little bit more into the golds, so I would be curious how within like the next like 6 months or so if I start to reach for this one a little bit more, because the mattes are absolutely beautiful. They are so easy to blend. This was definitely a palette that when I got it and I started to try it, I was like, okay, like I get why I still think 129 is redonkulously high for an eyeshadow palette, don't get me wrong, but I was like, I'm starting to see why so many people talk about it. I'm not someone who likes to blend my eyeshadows for 4 hours. I like things that are quick and easy, and that's what this formula is. And some of these like mid-tone browns and like the camel brown is just absolutely so beautiful. The shimmers pop so much. I think it goes back to being a little bit more on the color scheme side, especially as I'm doing a ranking and I'm comparing, you know, really after these next 2, you're gonna start to see tones that I wear all of the time, and you're gonna understand that they're palettes that I reach for so much more often. But this palette will always hold a special place in my heart. I don't think I will ever part with this. Like, you're never gonna get this out of my cold, slimy hands. They're not cold, they're hot, but you know, but that is coming in at number 8, the gold palette. And then at number 7, I have the bronze palette. So this is one of the midi palettes. So this one does retail for $65. The minis run for $25. Like I said, the gold palette is $129. I have a handful of the midi styles and these are $65. I really liked when she came out with these style of palettes because $65 is still expensive, but it's a lot better than over $100 for an eyeshadow palette. And I love the minis because I love 5-pan palettes, but I also like these because you do get more variety of shades. You also get the mirror. They're very like travel friendly, getting ready friendly and all of that. The bronze palette, I really do enjoy. Once again, just compared to ranking all of the other ones, it's mostly like the color scheme. I'm not going for the warm tones quite as much these days. if you've caught any of my videos recently, I am very into like natural neutral makeup, brown smoky eyes, just very simple neutral, yet still sometimes a little glam, if you will. So that's really why this one is coming in a little bit lower also. But once again, I really like the quality on these. There's some really fun shades in here, some really fun shimmers. It's still a good palette, don't get me wrong, it's still a good palette, but you know, the point of this is to rent them. Coming in at number 6, another mini palette. This one is the Mini Gold. This is another one that was gifted to me from a subscriber. And I will say that I wasn't all that interested in trying this one. I was like, I don't know if it's really gonna be for me. Once again, I don't wear golds all that much, but we really only have the one gold shade in here. And then we do have some greens, which I do enjoy greens, which that was kind of a newer thing also. I used to hate wearing green eyeshadow. Now I actually really enjoy it. And when I got this, I was pleasantly surprised when I started trying it. I think it's really nice. I know it's kind of falling in the middle of the pack here, but again, I have some favorites from the brand. But this is a really good palette. It's one of those that when I wear it, it just kind of, it makes my eyes pop, and I just think it's really pretty. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised by this one. Again, I'm not wearing like greens and golds all that much as of lately, so that's kind of why I put it at 6 over number 5. But it's still really good. At number 5, I have the Glam palette. This is another midi size, so this is $65. These are kind of like the tones that I'm wearing a lot lately. I'm either liking like a warm brown smoky eye or a very cool toned kind of glam look is what I'm going for, the Glam palette. And I really like the muted tones in here, the cool tones, once again, the mattes, the shimmers. This is just a really fun palette. When I saw that this one was being released, I immediately was like, yep, like I'm gonna go ahead and buy that one because I really, really enjoy the color scheme. One thing I don't like about it, and this is such a random thing, but there's not actually shade names, which for me, I don't know why, I feel like it's just something missing, but they're called like center eyelid, outer eyelid, inner corner, crease, transition. Well, I get that. It's also an eyeshadow palette. Like, you can do whatever you want. You can put center eyelid in your crease if you want. Who cares? Like, you know, it's makeup. Like, whatever. If you don't like it, wash it off. Like, it's not that deep. So that's the only thing that I'm like, oh man, I wish they had shade names, because with this type of palette, I feel like they could have been kind of fun and cool shade names, if you will, but I really do enjoy the Glam. Coming in at number 4, this is a larger palette, a 129 palette, and the first 129 palette that I did buy on my own. And that's why I'm saying, like, I started off not really loving Natasha eyeshadows, and now they're truly a favorite of mine. And as I tried more and more and I kind of found what I liked, then I started to reach for them more. I started to want to buy more of them, and then that eventually culminated to me purchasing the Biba palette. So the Biba palette, it says all neutral right here, and this is a palette that I had eyed for such a long time. I kept going back to it. I kept putting it in my loves list. I would put it in my cart. And I'm like, I don't know, it's just so expensive. And then as I fell in love with the 3 palettes you're gonna see at the top 3 here, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Sephora was having a sale. I was like, whatever. I had a gift card. I'm pretty sure I had a gift card. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. And I really, really like this one. It's so beautiful. I love all of the mattes in here. The shimmers are really, really gorgeous also. It's a beautiful palette. I'm glad that I have it in my collection. It's not my most used, because you're gonna see those next, but I'm glad that I got it on sale. I'm glad that I didn't spend full price on it, because that's just really expensive, but I do not regret having it in my collection. Coming in at number 3, I have the Mini Glam palette. So this one is one of the 5 pans that retails for $25. So we just have these, you know, kind of more cool tone shades in here that kind of corresponds with the bigger Glam palette. I reach for this a lot. I have gone into this a lot recently also. It was actually on my bathroom vanity because I was wearing it fairly recently. So we have 2 mattes in here and 3 shimmers, and it's just one of those very simple, easy palettes that I can reach for and do one of like my classic go-to looks. I think it's a fabulous palette. I've recommended it so often. I'm not really sure what else I can say. Like, I love that palette and I reach for it so much. I think it's great. Number 1 and number 2 were difficult for me because I love both of these so much, and they're extremely different palettes. They're different in size, they're different in price, but they're also different in color scheme. Here's what I decided to do. At number 2 is the Love palette. Okay. I have a deep love for the Love palette. I talked about this palette in like consecutive videos for a while there. I think I was like ranking palettes, and I was doing all kinds of things, and like what's worth money and all of this stuff. And I just kept mentioning the Love palette, and I was like, people are probably so sick of me. I know so many of you purchased the Love palette because I talked about it so much, and I hope that you enjoyed it. So again, this is the midi palette, retails for $65. It came out around Valentine's Day. I love the color scheme in here. I love purple shadows, like I said earlier. I think they look great with green eyes. There's some pinks in here, some reds, like the shimmers. There's so many different color combinations that you can do with this palette, and I think it's why it calls to me so much. I can do something simple and basic and beautiful, or I can go ahead and put this red shadow all over my lid and smoke it out and have this very fierce Aries red eye. Like, just one of my favorite palettes. Just one of my favorite palettes in general. I think this was supposed to be limited edition, and then it kind of never went away. I think I probably had something to do with that. You know, Natasha's my friend. There was a girls' night where we were a little tipsy on wine and brownies that I had brought, and I was like, girl, like, I don't think that this should be limited edition. And she was like, I agree with you. And she went to the website and made the change. So I think that this is a great palette. If you like this color scheme, I would definitely recommend it. If you don't like this color scheme, I definitely would not recommend it. But I love it. That leads us to number one. And if you are a friend of mine, you probably know what palette I'm going to be talking about. This is the first palette that had me like start to become obsessed with Natasha Denona palettes, okay? Like, this was the first one that I was like, wait a second, where has this palette been all of my life? I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I have a huge collection. I've been doing YouTube for many years. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I do not hit pan in my palettes very often. I'm also very light-handed. And I've hit pan in this one, and I love this. It's the Mini Nude palette. Here it is, the Mini Nude. Clearly, I'm a giant fan of this one. Like I said, I love neutral looks. I love really like simple, go to, out the door. It doesn't take me a long time. To be honest, I don't find myself to be that skilled in makeup, and I don't mean that as a put down. I enjoy it, but I'm not a makeup artist. I'm not trying to be a makeup artist. I'm not trying to spend 5 hours doing my makeup every day. I'm busy. I got things to do. Sometimes I just need that simple go-to look that I can put together so quickly. Like, this mixed with the Mini Glam, so beautiful. I mean, honestly, both of these palettes, like, I've really been loving Makiage stack, their neutral moment stack, but there's no shimmer in it, and I can come into either one of these palettes and pop a little shimmer in there, and it's just great. Like, the minis are really nice companion palettes for sure, but this is just, it had to be number one. Like, to me, it had to be number one. And also, especially with my makeup preferences right now, I'm definitely reaching for the Mini Love over the Mini Nude over the Love palette, though I still love the Love. This is just what I'm reaching for more. I love the 5 pans. I've always been such a fan of mini palettes. This is only $25. I've recommended it so many times over, but I knew that it had to be number one for this video. So that is it. That is ranking all of my Natasha Denona palettes from number 10 to number 1. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. What Natasha palettes do you have? What palettes don't I have that you think that I should have in my collection? I would love to know. Let me know what you would want to see ranked next. I was thinking either an updated blush video, or if there's another, you know, collection video. I saw someone mention recently Sigma palettes. If you'd want to see Sigma palettes ranked, anything like that, please do just let me know, and I would be happy to do so. But other than that, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope you also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll see you in my next video.